Hey, well, good morning and welcome to 2 Samuel chapter 15 as the drama continues in the book of 2 Samuel. Yesterday we learned of some of the ways that Absalom had been restored through kind of a drama situation, through this whole trick that they played on David to be able to get Absalom back into society. And so now Absalom has now come back into society. He was on house arrest for a season. And now chapter 15 starts. In the course of time, so now after some time has passed, Absalom provided himself with a chariot and horses and with 50 men to run ahead of him. So Absalom now begins to construct his plan to overtake his father. Spoiler alert. And so as he begins to do this, he begins to do all these different things so that he not only has been restored to his place in the kingdom, now he's saying, I don't just want to be restored, I want to be king. So he does some crazy stuff, like he goes and he sits at the city gates, and every time somebody comes, he kind of pulls the whole vote for me thing. Well, if you voted for me, then all your troubles would be gone. You need help? Let me help you. If I was king, it wouldn't be this way. And he starts to do all of these things, begins to do the whole political spiel of, let me be your leader and this will happen. And it surprisingly is very effective, just as it is these days. And he says all these things to these people. He begins to start setting himself up to be king. He starts doing all of these things. His pride is starting to become more so and more so visible. And he gets to a point where he convinces all of these people that he is supposed to be king, that he is king. So then there comes this point where David gets word, and David realizes the people's hearts are with Absalom. Again, just a huge summary of all of the things that have happened. All of the drama that has happened in King David's life is now catching up with him, rooting back all the way with Bathsheba. All of this coming forth, now he's dealing with these consequences of the sad moment when he has to walk away from the throne. He begins walking up the Mount of Olives, just weeping, barefoot, wearing a hood, all of these things. But really the moral of this chapter to me is the life of Absalom. So Absalom, through grace, had been given a restoration into the community, into Israel. But part of that was he should have come back humbled. Many times when we go to prison or we suffer any sort of punishment, you would think that afterwards we would be humbled and have a sense of change in our lives. But instead, that doesn't usually happen because of what we see here just in human nature with Absalom, that he was exiled and he comes in. And instead of coming back with a humbled heart and learning what he should have while he was in exile, he came back with a proud heart and saying, well, since I was exiled, I deserve to even be king. If he would have really taken, an evaluation of his actions in his life, he would have said, the thing I deserve is to just be humble, to lay low, to be a part of society, to be good. But instead, no, everyone owes me something. I'm going to become king. This is my rightful place. This is what I deserve. And we begin to ignore everything that has happened in the past. And so often we do this in our lives. Say there was an issue in your marriage and there's a restoration process that happens. At some point you have to still own up to the fact that the issues we're dealing with were my fault. If it was your fault, you have to say the issues we were dealing with were my fault, and if my spouse has trust issues, that was my fault because I did these things. Not, oh my goodness, now that I'm back in society, you need to treat me the best way you could possibly treat me. Or if something happened in your workplace where you made some poor decisions and you were disciplined because of that, it's not like once you get restored back into the workplace that you begin to have this prideful attitude of, well, I already paid my due diligence for that, but you know what, I deserve this, and that. What we must always maintain an attitude of humility of saying, who am I? I am nobody. God is everything. I messed up. It's okay. I'm going to remain humble. We don't want to be an Absalom that God keeps trying to humble us. God keeps trying to teach us a lesson and mold our character, but yet we begin to try and make ourselves king. Because anytime, a little bit of a spoiler alert, anytime we try and make ourselves king, as Absalom does, it's very short-lived and it results in even more problems, which we're going to start reading here in the next few days. So just remember that whatever it is that God has been trying to teach you, don't be like Absalom and say, okay, I learned that lesson, time to move on. It's something that, no, we need to keep that lesson in front of us each and every day. Whatever it is that God has taught you in the past, we need to remember that every day and not just say, I'm over that, be full of pride. Just remember each and every day, let's remember where we came from. Remember when we were exiled and restored back to the community like Absalom, and be humble in every single thing that we do. So I hope to see you back tomorrow for 2 Samuel chapter 16.